This is the Sony 90mm f2.8 macro GOSS. And in this video, this is what we are going to talk about. I actually wasn't able to make an opening script for this. Didn't I? Oh no, yeah, I wasn't able. Yeah, let's roll that intro. Before anything else, I'd like to officially welcome you to my channel. Thank you for making it past the intro. If you are into cameras, gadgets, technologies, all that good stuff, please do subscribe and hit that bell if you haven't yet. In that case, you won't miss out on anything from this channel. Having that out of the way, let's dive right into the topic. Starting off with the build quality. This lens, straight out of the box, feels solid and long-lasting. It's made primarily of hard plastic materials that could take a beating. Although of course you would want to take care of your stuff as much as possible. But in any case, I am telling you, this feels very durable. As for the lens composition, I honestly didn't like that it has a small diameter but lengthy body. It's practically like a zoom lens, but it's not. Well, maybe because it is a macro lens. But nonetheless, it isn't that big of a deal. Because at the end of the day, I learned to love the form factor and the weight of this lens. Imagine I had like a couple of weeks with just this lens for pretty much everything and everywhere. Moving on to image sharpness, in all honesty, I personally believe that this is by far the sharpest lens I have tried. Like there are some occasions that I find this lens sharper than my Sigma Art lens. And that is unbelievable. May it be for portraits or macro, this lens has been delivering crazy sharp output. Not to mention, I love using this lens also for product photography. Good job, Sony. For the maximum aperture, this lens could only open up to f2.8. On an APS-C body, f2.8 is just okay. You know what I'm saying? But on a full frame body, f2.8 is very useful already. Believe it or not, this lens is capable of doing that bokeh effect even in low light situations. Also, in my opinion, I don't think it's wise or it's practical to have this open wider than f2.8. As friends and folks, this is a macro lens. Let's not forget about that. Because if you open wider than f2.8 while you're super close to the subject, I am telling you, it will be very hard to nail the focus and the sharpness. Hence, I personally believe that this is just perfect. Not to mention that macro lenses from other brands have also f2.8 widest aperture. For the autofocus, this is a native lens. This is a G lens, so it's kind of obvious that this lens does have great autofocus performance. From its minimum focusing distance to infinity, I haven't experienced any hassle or anything. Although if you're coming from macro photography to like portrait or something, it will kind of take a while to focus to the subject due to its wide focusing range. And for me, that is very much acceptable. For the focal length, this is a 90mm macro lens. Meaning, as I said earlier, this lens is very much ideal for portrait photography. If you've been following me, you know that my favorite portrait lens is the Sigma 85 art lens. For some reason, I love the compression at 85mm. That being said, I kind of have the same impression on this one. And this is practically the major reason why I love this lens. It's the fact that this is not just a macro lens, but it could also be for many other stuff as well. Most especially portraits. How amazing is that? Although of course, like any other lenses, it has its own limitations. Because yes, you can use this for many things, not just macro, but this isn't for handheld vlogging, for talking head videos, even for landscape photography. I mean, you could, sure, but it will be very tight, like for real. Lastly, this lens has OSS, the optical steady shot. That is Sony's version of in-lens stabilization. And again, as to how I do things, that is such a game changer. With this focal length, having any form of stabilization is a plus. Especially if you're doing macro photography, even if your camera has IBIS, the in-body image stabilization, it is hard to nail that perfect focus. Thus, it's a very good move to have this stabilized. And of course, since this has OSS, I love using this lens not only on my Sony a7C, but also on my Sony a6400 that doesn't have IBIS. How cool is that? And guess what? You can do equally amazing things with the Sony a6400 and the 90mm combo. I actually posted a video sample of that. You can watch the whole thing after this video. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. As for conclusion, I personally believe that this is a very underrated lens. Like I honestly think that everyone should have this in their bags. Like what Peter McKinnon always says, that everyone should have a macro lens in their arsenal. Actually, that is the main reason why I bought this macro lens. Because of Peter. Anyway, it's good for many things such as portraits, products, videos, and of course, macro photography. All that using only this under $1,000 lens. How amazing is that? There you go, folks. I am sure I wasn't able to cover everything, so let me know your thoughts in the comment section, or we can connect on Instagram or on Facebook. As a end, if you're getting value from this video, please do like and subscribe for more not super technical but rather practical approach to gadgets and technologies. Until then, thank you for watching. Having that out of the way, let's dive right into the topic. As for the lens composition, I honestly didn't like that it has. Imagine I had like a couple of weeks with this lens, a couple of weeks with just this lens. Like there are some occasions that I find this sharper than the Sigma. May it be for portraits or macro. This lens could only open up to f. Also, in my opinion, I don't think it's wise or it's practical to have this open wider at f2.8, wider than. Because if you open wider than f2.8, well, I am telling you it will be super. I am telling you it will be hard. For the autofocus, it is a native lens. It is a G lens, so no wonder that it is. From its minimum focusing distance to infinity, I haven't experienced any hassle or anything. Although if you're coming from, it will kind of take a while to focus to the subject due to its wide focusing range. Believe it or not, this lens is capable. Oh God. Believe it or not, this lens is capable. Believe it or not, this... Is he hearing me? So whenever I start talking, he would also start barking. I don't know.